Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Lutfiatul Kholifah, student of UIN Maulana Malik Ibrahim Malang. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is the impact of the rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. I will begin by presenting good impact of the rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia, and then the bad impact of the rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. Finally, I will explain how do we as students respond on the rise K-pop of Islamic education in Indonesia. My presentation will take about 15 minutes. Don't worry about taking notes. I will be handing out copies of PowerPoint slides at the end of my talk. If you have any question, please ask at the end of the presentation. Recently, Indonesia has been shocked by the rise of K-pop the world. Many of them, ranging from young children to college students, like K-pop and even willing to spend millions money to buy their favorite K-pop album. Is it right? They certainly have several impacts, one of which has an impact on Islamic education in Indonesia. Here, I will describe some of these impacts. In this part of my presentation, I would like to tell you about the good impact of rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. The good impact of the existence of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. First is the existence of a high sense of tolerance. This is because their fellow K-popers who come from many parts of the world will become one unit where they will respect each other's difference, both racial, cultural difference regions, so that from here that there will be plenty a sense of mutual respect with different beliefs between them. The second is exemplary. K-pop often take lessons from the songs they hear. Most of the K-pop songs contain positive elements that can raise their enthusiasm for learning. Besides that, they are the idol who always carry out their obligation as God's creatures, namely diligently worshipping. This is a role model in itself for K-popers to always worship diligently. Let's move on the next point, is the bad impact of rise K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. The first is that you can divide your time. Many K-popers, when they are fangirling or fanboying, they forget time, forget to study, forget to help their parents, and even forget to pray. Parental supervision is needed in this case, so that their children can divide their time between studying, worshipping, and refreshing the brain by fangirling or fanboying. The next bad impact is imitating Korean cultures. K-popers often make the direction of their idol dress style. How to dress K-pop idols is a trend in itself for them, which is certainly out of Islamic law, especially for female idols. This is what should be filtered again as K-popers. So that's the background of the impact of the rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia. So we must be wise in responding to this. As I said earlier, that the good or bad impact of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia depends on ourselves. As a student, we should be careful to filter out what is good and bad about the rise of K-pop in Indonesia. let's review the key points from this session. The first is the good impact of the rise K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia, which is to establish tolerance among K-popers and to make their K-pop idol as exemplary in life. And the bad of the rise of K-pop on Islamic education in Indonesia is they cannot divide their time properly and imitate the way of dressing K-pop idols, which is out of Islamic law. Well, this brings me to the end of my presentation, and thank you all for listening. Before I stop, let me go through my main points again. It is a good or bad something depends on us responding to it. Therefore, let us filter again what is good and bad for us and for Islamic education in Indonesia. Are there any questions?